everybody, and welcome back to Q for You. As always, I'm Robert Brown. Luke Harris can't be here with us tonight. He may pop in a little bit later. He's having a little family emergency crisis. But I am joined by Fitz Koehler, breast cancer survivor. And I love and hate that word at the same time, survivor.
Yep.
Because, yes, you survived it, but it's more than that, right?
So I don't use the word survivor to reference myself. I use cancer crusher only because I can't think of anything best, but I don't really feel like a victim. So I don't know. The word survivor feels a little victim-y. It's normal lingo and most people use it with pride, and I'm grateful to be in that group. But yeah, there's something about it that sits a little weird with me. So cancer crusher is what I prefer.
I like that a lot better. I think that is something that we should start using is, more mainstream because like you said, survivor has that feel of being already beaten by it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I like to win. I don't like just to survive in anything. So I don't know. I mean, it's semantics, right? But there's certain things about the cancer experience that didn't sit well with me. I don't wear ribbons either.
Really?
Yeah. Oh no, I will not give this disease any more place of honor on my chest than it's already taken. I've got plenty of scars. I'm dinged up enough. I never wear the shirt that's like breast cancer warrior or whatever. A lot of people wear that and they feel empowered and it works for them. For me, it makes me recoil. So I do what's good for me because cancer made me uncomfortable enough. I'm just not willing to take a step even into anything else that makes me uncomfortable voluntarily.
Right. That's amazing. So like when October 1st comes around, I mean, I'm sure you do other things to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but
so, I not wearing ribbons is very different than not supporting the causes. I support so many great cancer causes, American Cancer Society at large. I speak for them. I've done all sorts of things. My whole professional life for ACS, I work with the Donna Foundation, which is laser focused on supporting breast cancer patients. And then, of course, helping find more effective cures or kinder cures. I've worked with Coleman. I'll work with whoever's supporting cancer research and so forth. And then, of course, I have the books, right? So
right.
I've leaned in. There's certain things when it's about me, that's when I draw the line. So ribbons on me, not cool. I don't wear them. If you want to wear them, makes you feel great. Right. Great. Me not wearing a ribbon doesn't hurt anybody.
Right.
And then, I've decided, even though I have these books and I help people, cancer will never appear in the top 3 sentences of my byline because it's not who I am. It's something I had. It's something I did.
It's already taken enough of your life.
Yeah. It's a place I have some weird expertise, but the thing that I am is I'm a fitness expert and a race announcer and an author. Those are things I did. Cancer is something I just, got through. Right.
Right. And yeah, let's get into the books. I mean, so how many books do you have?
So I've written 4 books, but the latest 3 are the ones I'm really most passionate and excited about. So I'll go quickly. So the first one is my memoir.
Take your time.
My noisy cancer comeback, running at the mouth while running for my life. And this is my story. And this is, I'd say the interesting part about all this is I didn't just stay home sick with cancer. I took my bald head on the road and I boarded 30 planes out of Gainesville, Florida to go announce races and do keynote speeches. And, it was kind of the way I did cancer. And then I learned all of these interesting things. And so, this one's about mental resiliency, right? Helping people make good decisions to do cancer in a better way with real fortitude, resiliency. And then this one is just who I am. So when I went through cancer care, I started looking around and there really weren't any resources in the health and fitness category for cancer patients. And it's funny because there's infinite amount of research that says you can weaponize exercise and nutrition to make yourself more likely to hit remission, that's cure, and less likely to have a recurrence. So exercise and nutrition, very powerful tools. And in fact, most or all oncologists and nurses will tell their patients, you should eat right, you should exercise, but none of them tell them how. And if you can imagine trying to figure out exercise while going through chemo, or, having cancer, bone cancer surgery, or ostomy bags and all sorts of stuff. So I used my cancer expertise with my fitness expertise to create this one. This one is the blueprint. So, my wish, Rob, is that from now on, every person, the second they get diagnosed with cancer, they get this book, and this will teach them how to manage exercise, nutrition while going through the worst, most challenging days of their life. And then, of course, there's the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal with them, which will help them go from sick to strong and document those details. But it's colorful fun. It's a cathartic place to put your notes about your friends, your family, your diagnosis. And I really harp on the fun stuff because I think even with cancer, life can be real freaking fun and funny. And, so some of the prompts are, what celebrity do you look like bald? So I got all sorts of interesting suggestions, but I'd say overwhelmingly, the great majority of people thought I looked like crazy Britney Spears. So that was that was kind of fun. Everyone's like, "You look like crazy Britney Spears," and I'd say, "Thanks, I think." And have you nicknamed your tumor? So yeah. So, anyways, the books are doing well, and they're helping so many people, and I'm really very grateful and proud about that.
That's well. So obviously, my first question, my cue for you at this moment is, what is the number one thing that you think people should change? Like, if as soon as they get the diagnosis, the what is the one thing that should go through their head after the chaos?
It's control what you can when you can. And so there are certain things that you can't control. I couldn't control that I had a cancerous tumor and it spread to my lymph nodes and it was going through me like wildfire. That I could not control. But I can control choosing great doctors, approving or denying their treatment plans. That was mine. Just because they said you should do this doesn't mean I was like, okay. And then, of course, there were things I could do that had no negative side effects. Chemo had a lot of negative side effects. Radiation did, surgery did, but going out for a walk or stretching in the shower or doing leg lifts in bed on those sick days, I can control that. I can control empowering my body to be stronger and have more stamina and not lose balance, preventing the atrophy, right? And then with nutrition, golly, nutrition's so powerful. And, you dumb it down to when it's cold and flu season, right? Cold and flu season,
Right.
people are saying, I got to get some extra vitamin C. I'm going to eat some oranges and get my little vitamin C. Okay, well, now amplify cold and flu season to cancer season, right? So what are you going to do? What are you going to put in your body to make your body not only a cancer fighting machine, but an infection fighting machine? Because I had IV fluids every weekday for 5 months because of dehydration and sickness. So every single day they were sticking needles in my chest. Every single time they did that, I had a risk for infection. And when they do certain things, you could have a feeding tube and so forth. So utilizing nutrition to make your body stronger, more capable, and at minimum fight off infection is a very, very important thing to do. So that's it. Know that you have things you can control and you should.
Well, how many times have you seen the little blurbies, the thumbnails, whatever you want to call them on websites? The cure doctors don't want you to know, right?
Yeah.
Tons of times. What is the one food that you would say helped you the most?
I don't have one food. I don't. There are some interesting statistics. There's a book called it's called Anti-Cancer: A New Way of Life. And I'm not going to go too deep into that,
Right.
but that guy was a neuroscientist who was diagnosed with brain cancer, was given a median 6 months to live. And he thought, gosh, the median is 6 months, but the tail of survival is pretty long. What's the difference between the people who die in 3 months and the people who last, 7 years? And what he found is nutrition was a major factor. And so he traveled the world and did all sorts of research. And, it's interesting. There's stewed tomatoes and olive oil and garlic. And, it's all plant-based stuff, right?
Right.
It's fruits and vegetables and maybe some legumes and beans and nuts. But, my chapter 8 is called Foods That Help versus Foods That Hurt. And make the choice. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. You don't have to cut out every last one of your favorite things.
Right.
But if you can lean more into the foods that help category and less into processed meats and high sugary, saturated fats and alcohol for certainly or for certain, you can do well for yourself.
Wow, that's a lot. I mean, it really is. Because, like I said, my grandmother was diagnosed in 2012, and science says every year, I believe they're learning more and more about cancer,
Yes.
and they're they're doing amazing work. I mean, some people I know it's not coming fast enough, and we all wish it could. But um, at the time, the doctor she had told her that alcohol helped.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and then, like I said, my mother was diagnosed in 2020, and that was the thing that they told her: no alcohol, which she didn't drink anyway. But and
Yeah.
it was funny to me that in those just a few years' time, how much the research had progressed in that way.
Yeah, I mean, golly, they're finding new facts all the time, and there are thousands and thousands of brilliant minds working so hard globally to find cures, find more compassionate cures, hopefully vaccinations, which I think would be pretty cool. And they already have some vaccinations for certain cancers. But yeah, I mean, the things that you can do for yourself in the health and fitness category are things you already know how to do, right? I mean, we all know that walking or running builds cardio endurance. We know that push-ups and weightlifting makes you stronger. Strength is really your ability to push, pull, press, and lift against resistance. So it doesn't mean we're all doing bodybuilder stuff. Sometimes it means we're lifting up kids or carrying groceries or even climbing steps. Our bodies are heavy, so getting our tail from the bottom step to the top step requires strength. So, it's interesting how many people, when their loved one is diagnosed with cancer, they say, "Oh, you got to lie down. You just have to rest, 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 rest." Okay, well, what happens when you sit still too long? Your muscles atrophy. You lose your stamina. You lose balance, and then we put on these drugs and radiation could make you loopy. They could really affect your mind. And now you could end up weak, fatigued because you're out of deconditioned. And then, God forbid, you fall down. You don't want to have cancer and a broken hip. So, the things we learned about building a healthy body still matter when you have cancer or any other illness or injury. And they matter even more because now you've got real issues to face. So, yeah, you can empower yourself.
I love that. It's mind over matter, right? You have to use your mind because sometimes you don't have much else.
Yeah, and sometimes people just don't know, people think, "Oh, I should lie down the whole time," or "I'm sick, there's nothing I can do." And so for this book, Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, chapter 7 is everything exercise, and there are hundreds of photos in this chapter. But exercise isn't just about standing up doing bicep curls. Let's say you're in a sick in bed day. Here's a whole bunch of things you can do in your own bed to build strength or increase mobility. So it's just, you got to be flexible. And if you're in the hospital and they've just removed your arm because you got bone cancer, and that's horrible. But if you can stand up and walk down the hall, that's good exercise. Get it done.
And the best place to buy your books, where would that be? I mean, if a loved one has cancer, they're watching this right now, or they're inspired by your journey even, where would be the best place to find these books?
Yeah, so the books are sold globally, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, etc. But where I prefer is people come to fitzness.com, and every last book that leaves my office is signed by me, and I throw in a fun little gift with purchase. And I package it beautifully because I mean, cancer is hard, right? So it's fun to get something nice in the mail. And you're right. I have plenty of people who buy the books for themselves, but the overwhelming majority of my books are purchased for loved ones. And you're tinging a little bit, Rob.
That's what he just said. Your microphone is messing up. I've had, ever since I came back from our last Collecticon in Kansas City, my microphone's been weird. I apologize for that, guys.
Can you switch it to your laptop?
I'm on a PC. Let me see. I can switch it over. It's going to be a little bit weird and harder to hear me, but there we go.
Oh, much better. Just speak loud.
Yeah, I can turn up my mic and anything we need. So let's move on a little bit. How long have you been in fitness? Because you have a degree in fitness. You've studied this.
I do. So my master's degree is in exercise and sports sciences from the University of Florida. Go Gators. But I actually started teaching fitness when I was 15. And I'm right turning 15. I remember my mom I was driving the car with my restricted license to go teach a class with my mom. And, it was cool. But yeah, I fell in love with it right away. I fell in love with fitness. I really enjoyed exercising myself. But really I enjoyed connecting with people. The opportunity to help people and make exercise fun and see the smiles on their face and give them a reason to come back and do it again was really meaningful. And once I switched in my early 20s to television, I used to host a TV show. And that's where I learned two things, Rob. Number one is that my skills were transferable to a camera, because teaching to a group of 50 people is very different than just teaching to a camera. And strangers would approach and they would say, "Are you Fitz?" And I'd say, "I am." They'd say, "Oh, I love your show and I do it all the time and I've lost 17 pounds, or my back doesn't hurt." And I was blown away by my ability to help strangers. I was still a college student. I had my weird little college circle. And then grown-ups from around the state would grab me and say, "I work out with you all the time." And I thought, whoa. So it was about then where I pivoted and I turned my career from a gym type atmosphere to the television and the radio and writing articles for magazines, and anything that allows me to reach a massive amount of people in one effort makes me very, very happy and very satisfied.
Right. I've seen you're a sports announcer. You announce the races. For a much better term, you have your finger in a lot of different pies out there. I mean, you must stay busy.
Yeah, I'm very busy and I feel like I'm always on the plane. I feel like I'm always in the Atlanta Sky Club. That's why I feel like I actually should have a lease or something in Atlanta. But and I do a lot of things, but basically everything I do is laser focused on one thing, which is helping people live better and longer. So, if I'm doing a keynote, I'm always talking about something to uplift people, mental fortitude, healthy habits, etc., good professional skills. But even with race announcing, where I'm not necessarily giving instructions on exercise or nutrition, these are people who said, "Hey, exercise is a good idea." They show up, and I feel like my role, by making sure these people have a great time and they feel successful and adored and appreciated, hopefully I get that connection encourages them to come back for more. So I do still feel like that role is helping them live better and longer just by making exercise more fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was just reading all that and all the speeches you do and the public speaking and the announcers and just all of the busy work you have, and that's what I just reading about you. That's what I've noticed about you is it's mostly stuff to make other people feel better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm so fortunate because I love it all so much. I mean, I actually even like the process of writing. Um, only when I have something to say. If I don't have something to say, writing is torture. But yeah, I love speaking and I love the race announcing, and my morning mile program is fantastic. I'm
That's another thing I wanted to discuss with you. What is the Morning Mile program?
So Morning Mile is a before school walking running program where schools implement, and they give a 30-minute window before school begins for every student's invited. So fortunately, if it's a big school, we don't have to worry about 1,000 kids showing up at once. But it's the only exercise program at school that invites every child every day, plus their families, plus the faculty. When I say mass impact, I mean it. We exclude nobody. So there are other programs that say no boys or no kindergartners or no seniors or no this, or you have to pay a lot of money. Morning Mile is free for everyone. We just say, here's 30 minutes, come and walk as slow as you want, run as fast as you want, stay for 1 lap, stay for 50 laps. We don't care. Just come and get some exercise. And because of that, these programs are wildly successful. I have them in over 400 schools throughout the USA, Canada, Japan, and I feel so bad for I think it's St. Thomas. I mean, one of the Caribbean islands.
Wow.
And yeah, we never there's no coaching, there's no choreography. We literally just tell the kids, go do what you want. We make it fun, we provide rewards. We have some elementary school kids who have completed over 700 miles in
Wow.
one school year. And then we have elementary schools that have conquered over 30,000 miles in one school year. So Morning mile is big time. If anyone has a kid that goes to a school and you'd love to get your kid moving in the morning, or if you're a business or a generous individual who would love to see the next generation of Americans raised in a healthy way, you can reach out morningmile.com and we'll get more kids moving in the mornings.
That's beautiful, because that's really what needs to happen. I homeschool my daughter.
Nice.
But
you avoid a lot of pitfalls that way.
oh yes. Well, she's here with me, so I mean, I love spending that time with her. But still, even at that, when she gets up in the morning, she hits the floor running. She's
Love it.
always going, and fortunately, she's always exercising, so I don't have to worry about that aspect of it.
That's fantastic. Not every child has that, opportunity or a family who encourages it. In fact, it seems like quite the opposite. So, it's sometimes people say, well, we need to get more morning mile in the lower socioeconomic schools. And I'm like, okay, I mean, to me, I don't care. I just want all kids to exercise. I don't care what they look like, where they pray, none of that matters, how much money their parents have. But I see the kids who have wealthier parents, they're sitting on their butts just as much because mom and dad have bought them a computer and an Xbox and an iPad and a phone, and the kid never gets off the couch. Even though parents have a lot of money, that kid is getting no exercise. So I really don't have a preference. I just think children should exercise, and give me any child and I will help them exercise. Morning mile is probably the most important thing I've ever done.
So with that right there, what do you think could be used? Let's say, like me, she's here with me. She's homeschooled. I'm teaching her on my own. The tablet, we know how that goes. Phones, computers, games, all this stuff. What is a way that you would suggest to get that child active, to take that from them and get them encouraged in that movement?
So, number one, don't be afraid to say no. Set boundaries. You can use the iPad for an hour today, whether you use it in 4 15-minute increments or use it all in 1 hour. That's what you get. That's your screen time. Or here, we're going to give you an hour of screen time. Pick and choose. You can manage it. And that's a good way for kids to learn how to budget. But then sign them up for activities, right? So it's free activities, activities you invest in, sports, dance, it doesn't matter to me. And then I say, get up and do something with them. So it's so funny. My kids are 20 and 18, and my son, who's 18, we were actually playing Mario Brothers the other day, and he had just gotten the game, and he wasn't feeling good, so he got that, and I was playing with him, and he said, "Oh, well, you've never played before," and I said, "Parker, I've played plenty of Mario Brothers with you." He's like, "No, you didn't." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I've played plenty of this nonsense with you." And then I said, "Park, do you remember every night before dinner, we'd go out in the front yard and I'd put on shin guards because you were kicking the crap out of me. We'd play soccer in the front yard." No. "Do you remember the volleyball net we had in the backyard and we played volleyball?" No. And so they don't remember any of it, but you can't do it for that. You just got to do it. Any sports, all the sports. I mean, I bought rackets, I bought basketball. I was always out doing something with them. Sports that I personally stink at, I don't care. It's fun. They're your kids, right? And what's better than and some people are like, "Oh, we have to sit down and have a meal together." And I don't have anything against that. However, what's more valuable? Sitting down, chewing, and if you're like my family, you do not talk with food in your mouth. So it's limited conversation, or getting out and getting sweaty together and giggling, and you can walk and talk if you're walking the dogs. And I don't know, I think quality time is athletic time is far more is superior quality time to eating time.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any passion projects that you personally have that you want to push forward other than the morning mile?
Ah, I'd say
Something.
right. Yeah,
Go ahead.
morning mile, and then my books, so I don't think, I mean, clearly not enough cancer patients know that they have this power at their fingertips, moving their body and utilizing nutrition. And I mean, it's important stuff. There's a study out of Tel Aviv University that just came out in November 22, said intense cardiovascular activity makes cancer 72% less likely to spread. 72%. That's incredible. So that's not, the cure for all cancers, but if you can get out and huff and puff, and then, if you're a breast cancer patient, for example, the first two places cancer spreads is to your brain and your lungs. Ouch. You really don't want cancer to go anywhere from you. So can you huff and puff? Can you dance or run or cycle to prevent that? Well, sure you can. So yeah, getting these books into the hands of all newly diagnosed cancer patients and survivors. You know that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting?
Right.
All pregnant ladies get that. I want this in the hands of every cancer patient on earth. So right now I'm very passionate about that.
Even without cancer, as a woman, breast cancer is something that you should get checked for. You should, maintain mammograms and everything else. It's something to constantly watch for.
Yeah. So in North America, it's 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. But, just in general, the way we treat our cars is usually better than the way we treat our bodies. You got to get those annual exams of all sorts. Got to get, your eyes, your ears, your skin. You take your car in to get a checkup. So take your body in once a year and let your daughter or your doctor look under the hood. And then you have to be aware of your own body. You got to look and see if there's anything weird. If you feel anything weird, if you have sharp pains, you got to report it. And that's men and women alike. And, people are diagnosed with horrible things as babies. So sure, could you end up with prostate cancer at 17? Yeah, why not? Why not? So just be diligent. And, I found my cancerous tumor, my lump, 7 weeks after a clean mammogram. So if I had not found that lump, I'd be dead. If I had waited till my next mammogram, there's no way I would be here at the rate it was going through me. So you just got to be diligent. You got to squeeze your stuff. It's your hands. It's your stuff. You got to cop a feel wherever in your pants, in your shirt, on your skin. Let your partner squeeze your stuff. You can let a neighbor squeeze your stuff, whatever works for you, but stay on it. And then if you find cancer, if it's stage 1 or 2, gosh, the survival rates are so impressive at that level for all types of cancers.
That was one of your videos I seen. You were like, boobies, boobies, boobies. Now that that's out of the way, I love that. Yeah, it's a great thing because you have to check.
You got
your analogy that you used with a car. When that check engine light comes on, do you continue to drive it or do you look at it?
Oh my gosh. So I had a relative. I'm not going to say who she is. Gosh, I love this woman. She was so wonderful. She was having intense abdominal pains and suffering, but she was dealing with her husband. He was going through some sort of surgery. So she said, I'll wait until he's done. And then she started turning yellow from jaundice. And it was pancreatic cancer. She had let pancreatic cancer go for months because it was somebody else's turn to get the attention. Perhaps she could have survived. I don't know. Pancreatic cancer is pretty mean, but she ignored pancreatic cancer. Those signs and symptoms were screaming and saying, something's wrong. So just don't be that. Don't be that. Help yourself. Help yourself.
That was my mother. She put it off. She was dealing with everybody else, always taking care of everyone else.
Yeah, not.
Just a second.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yes.
Ice cream. I don't blame her. It's hot outside.
It is very hot. Yeah, but that's how she was. And then, my grandmother, she hid it from everybody. And then my mom and my aunt seen the lump and they were like, hey, you really need to go get this checked out. Yeah. But my grandma wasn't the time. Doctors won't help me. I'll take care of this myself,
So I'm going to throw in on that just because I think it's very interesting. My grandmother, she was so wonderful, but she...
Hang on. Get your ice cream.
She had a spot on the... Oh, wait.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize for that.
Okay. But yeah, my grandmother had a spot on the bottom of her foot, and we kept telling her to go check a doctor. She got a Brillo pad out, tried to scrub it off. It was melanoma.
Oh my God.
She died of melanoma, but she was trying to scrub off that spot on her foot with a Brillo pad. So yeah, we got to help the older generations out.
That's crazy. Yeah, I firmly believe that if you're somebody that just enjoys reading, go out and buy her book. Because if it doesn't help you, let's say you never develop which we all hope for, you never develop any kind of cancer or anything like that. Maybe reading this book will help somebody that you know or somebody that's going through this, where when they get that bad news, then you're able to reach out and say, "Look, take this book."
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So the first book, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, it's not only about me, but I share some of my weirdest experiences, and they're kind of lessons learned for the friends of a cancer patient, right? So when I was first diagnosed, I was gonna keep I would have loved to keep it to myself, but the fact that I was gonna show up around America with a bald head on stages, I figured people were gonna ask questions. So I made this little weird video, said, "Hey guys, bad news, good news. I got cancer, it's curable. I'm gonna show up as expected. You I'll accept no pity, you can root for me." So that was it. But then there was these hundreds of messages underneath. And almost every last one of them were, "We're supporting you, we love you. You need anything, let me know." And then there was some that said, "Hey, just want to let you know my aunt died of breast cancer." And I thought, thanks. Like, what am I supposed to do with that right now? I'm already scared for my own life. Thanks for rubbing it in.
Right.
Don't do that when someone's been tells you they've been diagnosed with anything horrible. Don't don't give it more horrible juju, right? So say,
Don't give it power. Don't give
yeah,
it the power.
science is great. They're finding new cures and solutions every day. I've got you. Don't say, just so you know, my buddy died of that thing you have. What was some of the other things when so as I'm bald, people had all the hair comments, but people really got off on saying, "Oh, your hair may come back in dark." It was long blonde hair, straight blonde hair when I lost it. "Your hair may come back in dark, or your hair may come back in curly." And I would just think, okay, so what you're excited about is the fact that the hair that I loved and lost may never be the same again. Why is this fun for you? And so, there's some lessons in there. Now, fortunately, I'm not made of steel, but I'm kind of close to it. So those stupid, stupid statements by people who genuinely cared about me, I was able to get past and not freak out. But not everybody is as resilient, right? So if you're diagnosed with something and someone comes up and says, "Hey, I know people have died of that might really crush this new cancer patient's soul." So be thoughtful. And there's quite a few little stories like that in My Noisy Cancer Comeback, which I think are funny. They're funny and then useful.
My grandmother, she when she went through chemo and started losing her hair, everybody was telling her, "We'll get you a wig" and all that, and I don't want a wig.
Mhm.
She says, "I'm supporting this. I'm wearing it. I'm loving it. This is the new me." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Absolutely, Grandma."
good for her. Yeah, it's not for everybody. So I certainly don't begrudge the men and women who wear wigs. And I actually, before I lost my hair, I took my kids, we went to a wig shop, and I was like, all right, I'll try one on, we'll see. Because they were really excited about it and I thought it would be fun. And I put the wigs on, and each one felt uncomfortable and each one made me sadder and sadder. And I just thought, you know what? I am not going to do anything that makes me more uncomfortable, because boy, is there a lot of discomfort in cancer, and nothing else that makes me sad. So forget it. And I figured men don't hide their bald head, and I think men look freaking hot with no hair. I love it. It's so masculine. The
I started going bald at the age of 18. We were doing a junior class play, and it was one of the hair things,
yeah.
where I don't remember the story of it, but everybody had to wear bald caps. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to shave my head. So
Wow.
I went for it. My mom set me down. She shaved my head bald, and it never came back. I've been like
Whoa.
this since the age of 18.
Oh, well, I think it looks great. I think it looks great. So, yeah, I mean, it's the way we look. It's not who we are.
Right. Absolutely. So it's kind of a personal question, and you don't have to answer it. But what did you name your lump? You said name them. What
What's
did you
very
name?
funny? I put that in the journal. I did not name my tumor. I
No.
thought of that in hindsight, but I tell you, I did nickname quite a few things. I had all these nicknames going on all the time. And so when I went bald, I think it was like by 2 weeks in, I was a skinhead. I was totally bald. But I had rashes because the chemo drugs I was getting are they cause all sorts of allergic responses. In mine, I had rashes on my head and bumps, so I instantly became Shrek. So I was getting my belly type thing, or that's a different guy. Anyways, I was Shrek, everybody's favorite ogre. And then I went from that to when I lost all of my eyelashes. They fell out on one side first, and then my other eye had lash extension. So literally this eye had nothing. And then this eye had about 20 fancy lashes. And I looked like that demented baby from Toy Story with the robot legs. So that's who I was. And then when they all fell out, I looked like Voldemort. So I was Voldemort for a while, and boy, did I look like Voldemort. And then my hair, I had after I finished the mean side of chemo, I still had 10 more months of a different chemo to go, but thankfully it wasn't a hair stealing kind. So I had this one hair just sprout out one day, like 2 inches high on top of my head. There was no hair. And then there was this guy. So my kids were like, shave that, Mom. It looks weird. And I said, nope. This one is a superstar. So we called it Alfalfa. This was Alfalfa. And I decided to put Alfalfa up on a pedestal and condition it just so the other hairs could see what was going on, or the other hair follicles could see and maybe do the same. And then I had this one grow weird out of the back of my head again. It was like this hair and then this hair, and that one looks like the world's tiniest ponytail. So I called that one Lolita. So yeah, those were my nicknames. I had a bunch of nicknames, but I never nicknamed my tumor. I wish I had.
That's amazing stuff. I'm so glad that you could find humor in such a dark time.
Oh, you got to. You got to. And if you can't laugh at yourself, you're screwed, right? So some of it was super bad. Some of it was super crazy. I went to announce the Big Sur Marathon, which is a muckety muck. Think about Pinehurst, the golf tournament, how fancy that is. This is that. This is the muckety muck of the marathon world. And the big races are on Sunday, but on Saturday we have a 3K, a short distance race for 5,000 to 6,000 families and children. And so I wake up at maybe 5 o'clock and I jump in the shower. It's like the world's quickest showers, right? Because I had no hair on my body. It was like a plastic bowl, in and out, dry yourself off. And when I get out of the shower, I look in the mirror and my eyes used to be gray, just pale gray. And it was something that people would say, are your eyes gray? They're pale blue. Are they gray?
Yeah.
And so I look in the mirror and they are navy saucer. They have completely changed colors. There's no pupil definition. It's just these navy saucers in my eyes. And I thought, what the hell is going on? That is crazy. And I'm there alone trying to figure out what to do. And I thought, well, I could call 911, but if I call and say, help, my eyes have changed colors, they're just going to send a straitjacket, like those guys come over. So I thought, well, I can still see. Maybe I'm just seeing things, right? So there's 6,000 people waiting for me. I just need to get on with it, right? So, and then I thought, well, maybe it's just my vision. Maybe I can't see right. Who knows? So I get my clothes on and get ready. And then there's a knock at the door. It's Rudy Novotny, the guy I announced most races with, my bestie. And so he knocks and I open the door and instantly he goes, what the hell happened to your eyes? And I was like, I know. And so they've not gone back. They're not navy anymore, but they've settled in like a deep blue, which isn't a curse, but they're not my eyes. Who knew that chemo could change your eye color?
Right. That's something I never knew. I never heard of that before.
Bizarre. There's so many, there's plenty of examples like that just make no sense. Thanks, chemo. And so that's what the book is there. And that's actually one of the great responses I get from cancer patients that say, oh my gosh, you really prepared me for what was going to come, because I had no idea. And it's just, there's this weird world of side effects nobody discusses. I mean, people are like, oh, you might be sick, and you might be bald, you might be tired. Yep, check. But then when things start hitting the fan, you really start questioning your sanity. So yeah, cancer can be funny. Who knew?
So real quick, before we get into anything further, I want the opportunity for everybody that watches this, everybody that sees this, to be able to know where to find you. So where can they find you? What social medias? I know fitzness 13 Correct. Is your TikTok.
Well, yes, fitzness13 is TikTok. I'm only okay on TikTok, but I'm at fitzness almost everywhere else in social media. That's FITZNESS on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. And fitzness.com is my home base. You can get to me. You can get to all of my channels, all my stuff there. If you're trying to get in shape, lose weight, do anything, accomplish anything within health and fitness, I've got a bazillion of free resources at fitzness.com. You can also buy all 3 of my books there. I sign everything that leaves my office. And then my 5-hour online training course is also available at fitzness.com. So I'm easy to find.
And taking a moment, look, I will tell her from Luke's aspect of it, okay? I want everybody to know Luke has his 3 books out: Nightmares, Volume 1 of the Dream Diaries, Revolver, Volume 2, and No Fate, Volume 3. Oh my God, I almost forgot. He'd kill me for that. So with his 3 books, you can buy them on Amazon, and I'm sure she'll tell you the same thing. Yes, if that's your last resort, go buy them on Amazon. But the way to support her and the way to help her grow is to buy them through her, because Amazon can't sign the book. Amazon can't dedicate the book. Amazon is a corporate conglomerate that doesn't have the emotion to care about you as an individual. So I 100% suggest you go to fitzness.com, and that's where you make your purchases.
Thank you. And that's true. That's true. There's even more to that. But yeah, thank
Yeah,
you very much. I prefer fitzness.com.
I don't want to get it too long-winded, but yeah, we've had experience in that also. People are like, well, I can just go to Amazon and buy it. Yes, you can, 100%.
Well, and the other big fat, thing people probably don't know is Amazon takes 55% of everything sold on Amazon.
Right.
Yikes.
Yeah. So they keep the profits.
Yeah.
She doesn't get anything. She does all the
Right.
work and goes without.
Yeah.
And the best way to help her grow and help her spread her message is by supporting her. And one thing I have found, it's so simple. Everybody out there, we say be a champion. If not for yourself, do it for someone else.
Nice.
That's the quote we say at the end of every show. And now, more importantly, I'm preparing to do an episode over this. I have a lot of numbers and stuff up. But I had a Instagram reel that I posted recently, and it was at 34 views. I had 2 of them posted side by side. One of them was at 34 views. It went 24 hours and stopped. And then I reached out to a bunch of the people following and stuff, and I was like, hey, share this. Share it with one person, share it with 10 people, just share it. So that video now has 46 views, and 24 hours after sharing that, the video has over 100 views. And that's what I want people to understand. You have the power.
Yeah.
The power is in the people. That right there. Take a video of hers and share it. That's all you have to do, guys. That spreads more awareness than anything. Sorry.
Thank you. No, it's really kind of you. That's very thoughtful.
I get on a tangent every once in a while. I apologize for that.
Good ones.
So, what is your biggest lesson from all of this that you do, that you've grown?
The biggest lesson, personally, the lesson that I was reminded of right away is that I can do hard things. Cancer in itself is terrifying. And a lot of the procedures you have to endure are also pretty scary. I had a particularly harrowing experience in an MRI, and I had to stay there for 45 minutes with my face down. And breast MRIs are pretty nasty. They're not just on your back lying down. You have to lie on your face like Superman, and it was just very stressful. And what I did during those 45 minutes, once I stopped hyperventilating, was to remind myself of all the things I had done in my brief history on this earth and how capable I was. And so instead of the that recording in my head saying, this sucks, you're going to die, this is what it's going to feel like to be buried, in my mind I was saying, you have raised 2 incredible kids, you've built a global business, you used to be a competitive kickboxer, you can do hard things, hang in there, stick it out, You can do this. And so that voice, she turned on big time. This, you know, with cancer, it's so wonderful when we have family and friends to support us. And I certainly did. But the reality is, even no matter how many people love me or sent me texts or sent me presents, I had to take 100% of the pokes. I had to take 100% of the drugs and the zaps, and the torture was all mine. There was nobody who could sit in and tap me out and say, I got it right now. So you have to be your own greatest cheerleader. And if that voice inside your head is putting you down, you are screwed. So thankfully, that girl in there, she was like, you got this, you can do it. And I still cried. I was still nervous. You know, there were certain things I
You're
could,
human.
yeah, I was very human. And it's funny because people are like, "You're the strongest person I know." And then I was like, okay, well, that's really nice. But I cried every single time they poked a needle in my chest. But I sat down for it. That was the thing, is I knew I was going to cry. I knew it was going to scare me. I knew it was going to hurt, but I still got in my car. And when I got out, I'd walk into that cancer center. And, chemo number one is super scary because of the unknown, right? You go in thinking, I have no idea what's going to go on here. Please let it not be so bad. So for me, every chemo after that was infinitely more terrifying because of the known. I knew what it was going to do to me. So then I had to still walk into that building and sit down and say, yep, put that needle in my chest and then pump those awful drugs into me. So, that was very powerful, her getting me to do those things. And so now she's even more of an advocate to me for me, because nothing I will ever do again in my life will be as scary as cancer, right? The only thing that could really harm me would be something happening to my children, and that's not going to happen. They're going to be fine. So, other than that, I am scot free on the scary train. That voice in my head now says, "Giddy up, life is good. Go get it. Go have fun. Don't sit down, dance on stage, sing loud, even though you have a terrible singing voice, and just go after it." And so I do. So that's cancer. There's a silver lining to everything, and I focus a lot on that, on the books and the journal, trying to get other people to focus on those silver linings, but they are there. I don't think my cancer happened for a reason, and I don't, if I could go back and not and have it and say, well, I'm so glad I had it. I'm not that girl. I'm not glad I had it, but my nature is to make lemonade, and I have, and so be it.
Well, can I ask you, at any point in time dealing with that, did the other side of it ever come through? Did you ever, for a moment, give up and think to yourself, maybe I should just give up and take the easy way out?
So no, I never gave up. I definitely, before I had met with my hematology oncologist, Dr. Gordon, I definitely thought I was dying. I had a good week or so where I couldn't stop grieving the loss of my children's life. Like, that was it. Not being with them, being torn from them, was killing me. So I was grateful when he said, "Nah, you're going to be okay." But I did have a moment. It was towards the end of my meanest part of chemo, and everything was wrong. I had a really brutal night, slept on the floor, the whole world was spinning. And that was a moment where I thought, now I understand why people discontinue treatment. So before that day, I always thought, no, you go for it. You do everything it takes. I couldn't understand why patients would say, no, I'm done. Thank you. And at that point, I was sick enough where I thought, if I did not have a cure waiting for me, guaranteed, pretty much guaranteed, I'm not sure I would have continued treatment. So I never did give up. Never gave in, but the understanding of why people do was pretty horrifying.
Well, what was your cure? Can I ask that? What was the cure for you?
The fear? Oh, why did
Yeah,
I
the
feel that
cure.
way?
No, the cure. What?
Oh, my cure. Well, my cure was okay. I had 15 rounds of chemotherapy. The first 6 were absolutely brutal. It was a 4-drug concoction called Taxotere, carboplatin, Perjeta, and Herceptin. And I'm so grateful for those drugs, but they were nightmarish for me. And they kept me as sick as, say, if you had a violent stomach bug every day for 6 months,
Yeah.
or a tequila hangover every day. I mean, it was just relentless sickness, which was hard. That's why I had IV fluids every day, whether I was in Gainesville or out of state. I would travel to places and they'd hook me up to keep me upright. And then I had 10 more months of a different chemotherapy called Kadcyla. I had 33 rounds of radiation. Thankfully, radiation wasn't super bad for me. And that was probably my easiest part of treatment. The actual zaps themselves were non-invasive, and I didn't have severe burning, which was wonderful. And then I had a lumpectomy, and they took, I think, 13 lymph nodes from my left armpit. And thankfully, I don't have lymphedema, which a lot of men and women who have those lymph nodes removed have like a lifelong swelling of the arm, and thankfully I don't. So that was my cure. And now I'm on a drug called tamoxifen for 10 years post-treatment. So I actually started taking it January 1st, 2020. So my last day of this drug will likely be December 31st, 2029. So it's fine. I don't have any negative side effects. I feel wonderful now.
Wow, that's amazing. You're the epitome of strength. You really are. You went through the ringer, and look at you now. You came out such a strong person. So one question I love to ask is the infamous question: if you could say anything to the world's population, if you could transmit one message to everybody on this planet, what would that be?
Prepare your body to do battle today, because you never know when illness or injury will strike. Your health actually matters. It matters on the best day, and it certainly matters on the worst. If you would like to live long and you would like to live well, there is a simple formula for that. It's moving your body, strength, cardio, flexibility, balance, and choosing more foods that help versus foods that hurt. Fitness is not complicated, but if you do not focus on it, you will pay for that at some point. That bill will show up and you will be forced to pay it. And you know what? If illness or injury does strike in spite of your best efforts with health or fitness, your health and fitness will likely help you rebound and recover far more efficiently and effectively had you not taken care of your health. So get on it. Don't wait, because if somebody looks at you and says, "Hey, you have cancer," the only thing that will matter at that point is your health. So don't wait.
Wow. Wow. That's such a unique answer, and I love it so much because you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So that's our show. I'm gonna run it down now. Throw the books back up one more time so everybody can see the names of every one of them. Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, right there, guys.
I got this one.
Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal.
It's so fun. It's so colorful. And then this one is my memoir.
And My Noisy Cancer Comeback. All by Fitz Koehler. Go to her website, fitzness.com. It's right there in the background, right above her head.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the books, check it out. Buy it for a loved one, buy it for yourself, whatever you need to do. And like I said, support her. Go to her Instagram, share one video to some people, share her story with somebody that may be diagnosed and feeling down right now. Share. With that being said, be a champion. If not for yourself, do it for someone else. I'll be me, you be you. Until next time, this is Q for you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.